अंधेरे सुनी रहे
अपना तो काम ही खौफ का है। आंख में देखो तो सामने वाला मुंह देना चाहिए।
डूबता दिल फिर भी ये ढूंढे कोई मंजिल।
फोड़ा फोड़ी होती है ना, वो एकदम करीब है अपने।
क्या करेगा बॉक्सिंग सीख के? लोगों को मारेगा।
ये अज्जू भाई, ये अजीज अली बॉक्सर। क्या बनना है?
The much anticipated sports drama Toofaan is finally here. You can now watch it on Amazon Prime. The film, led by Farhan Akhtar, also stars Mrinal Thakur and Paresh Rawal in key roles. The posters have been eye-catching, so has the trailer. And now you get to watch it. Hello and welcome to Behind the Mix. We're excited to introduce you to the people who made the magic possible. We are now joined by director Mr. Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra. Thank you so much for joining us here, sir.
Thank you, Karma. Thank you for...
We are also joined by music director Ehsan Nurani. Thank you, Ehsan, for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me here.
Pranav Shukla, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
And finally, Sharat, who's the re-recording mixer. Thank you, Sharat.
Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah.
Mr. Mehra, Farhan Akhtar, in one of his Twitter posts promoting the film, wrote, "Life can't break you when love holds you together." So is that the central theme of this film? And what's the message?
The film is about healing. And it's there are so many wounds in the society today. And most often we are scratching those wounds further. The subtext of the film runs deep into healing, which is about कि अगर जख्म है तो उनको खुरेदो मत, उसमें मल्लम लगाओ, and like a soothing balm. It's beautifully told and acted out. The department together to tell this wonderful story, which is a story of an underdog, which fights the biggest battle, which is the battle with himself, and comes out on the other side. Is drama, is romance, and then / sports. It's not a sports biopic.
I just want to get you off with a very important question that is asked, whenever a journalist has no question to ask. आपको कैसा लग रहा है?
Right now? Well, actually, first of all, I'm very excited about the movie. I'm very excited about what we've done in the movie. The complete amalgamation of the sound with the visual and emotion. It's one of the unique scores that we've done in terms of then you have one level, you have the music, the songs, and on the other level you have the background score, and both have turned out very, very nice, and especially the background score because it's gone to a different kind of level, something that we've not done before, and I don't think a lot of people in the Indian film industry have tried in terms of background scoring.
दोनों खिलाड़ी रिंग का जायजा लेते हुए एक दूसरे के जहन को पढ़ने की कोशिश, कहीं से भी कोई वार नहीं। लीजिए, ये आया अजीज अली का पहला लेफ्ट जैब।
when it comes to a sound designer, for the layman, for people like me, what does a sound designer do in a film like this? And especially why technologies like Dolby Atmos are important for a premium entertainment experience for Amazon Prime Video viewers?
So, a sound designer's responsibility pretty much starts from when the script is done. And I actually doubled up as the production mixer also. So that meant I was on shoots and I was recording all the performances and make sure that everything is captured in its truest essence. In a layman's term, what sound designer does is that I create the sounds that the character hears in the film. And the music team does the sounds and the music that the audiences experience. So I have to establish a world of sound design, physicality of what those sounds, what the rules for the sounds are in that film. So on Toofaan, because we shot this movie pretty much all on location, there are no sets. So establishing the world of what Dongri and Nagpada would sound like, whether if it is capturing it on set or coming back in post and trying to build those atmospheres up. And then basically just sitting and getting all these sounds right and coordinating with different departments, whether if it is sound, whether it is the picture edit team, and making sure that everything in sound goes seamlessly. You're able to experience the world as what the characters are experiencing. It's about physically establishing rules for sound in that universe. So what are the rules for sound in this movie?
इंडियन बॉक्सिंग में एक नया उभरता सितारा अजीज अली डोंगरी का एक स्ट्रीट फाइटर है।
You mentioned Naupara and Dongri. Let's stay in that area for a while, and a person who's visited and stayed in Mumbai understands the sounds that are coming in from there, because it's a very noisy place, bustling, a lot of things happening. How do you record sound here in a place like this, and how do you finally see the output?
See, Dongri and Nagpara is a place bursting with energy more than noise. I never felt like it was very noisy. It had a lot of energy, and it was important to capture that aspect. It wasn't about trying to record the cleanest possible sound, because you're not going to get that. And if you keep on doing retakes for sound, you're just going to be shooting the whole day. So what we tried to do was that mic up the actors and have a boom on them and just basically see in post-production what we can sing and what we can't. The approach was pretty simple. Just make sure actors are mic'd up properly and help them capture the performance rather than capturing the dialogue. And by that, what I mean is that don't come in the middle of a performance. Let that be what it is and figure it out slowly by working the backgrounds, working with the assistant directors and trying to say this is making noise, that is making noise, but not disturbing the talent. And in Dongri and Nagpada, we stayed, we recorded. It was quite simple actually, and we haven't dubbed a single word over there in all of those locations. So it wasn't as tough as we thought. In the beginning, we thought maybe we'll get like some 40 or 50% of the performances, but we got all 100%. And then obviously, like Sada takes all of my tracks and then he puts all the backgrounds back in. And we use the locations for what they are. If the locations, you can see all kinds of traffic and all kinds of people, you put that sound back in and it doesn't sound unnatural because you can see the sounds physically in the frame. So it doesn't feel like a distraction. It doesn't feel noisy because you're enjoying it. You're part of the environment then. You're participating in it.
Right. And Sharath, how challenging, or should I say enjoyable was it to work on this?
Yeah, I would say both. I mean, it was challenging as well as enjoyable because, uh, as Sir said, the boxing is just a backdrop of this film, but the main there is an emotion throughout the film. So even if you are in a boxing arena, you are not only hearing the boxing match, or there is an emotion in it. In every single fight, you can find that. So, to come up with that emotion through the mix, that was the challenging part, I would say. And as Pranav said, that in other aspects like the ambience in Nagpada and Dongri, so we have used the Dolby Atmos technique throughout in the film in such a way that people can, the audience can actually uh, feel the space. So wherever they are, feel the location, I would say. So that was, I was thoroughly enjoying that part, and of course the music director, they have done an amazing job on the music, because it's really important to have good tracks when you are mixing such a heavy sounding film. So in that case, because in the boxing arena you have so many sound design is happening, and in between you have the music also, and there are dialogues also, so emotion also you have to keep in the same mix, so in that case they have understood that okay, this is what we have to design it like. So it was a very good team effort, and I think the audience are going to enjoy this, I guess. Yeah.
Right. If you look at Dolby Atmos technology, it says that songs or sounds can be heard and felt around you, and it unlocks new levels of emotion, and it draws us closer to the artist, and in this case, the movie that we are watching or that we are slowly investing in. So, how did this technology, Dolby Atmos, help you?
Yeah, so first of all, you need all the elements ready for the mix. That so in this film, Pranav has already done that by recording all the stuff in the location and all the boxing files, all the crowd, all those tracks he has recorded from the location itself. So to make it sound like people are like for the audiences to enjoy that location, it was, I would say, quite easier for me in terms of the sounds. But of course, Dolby Atmos helped us to create that environment with panning and putting sounds overhead, all those things. And of course, in the boxing arena, what we have done is we have placed the sounds in a 7-1 bed and also some of the reverbs going on top. So, like you are feeling something is the reverbs are coming from the top, and like that you are covered with the like you are in that arena, you can feel that. So that sort of thing, and also with the intense sound design we used, as Sensor said that he has used lots of strings and pads and synths in the BGM. So what we have done is we have used the space, because in Dolby Atmos you have you get enough tracks to play around with. So what I have done is I have separated the sound design, and I have used the pads and the strings all over the space place in the theater, where you can feel that okay, there is a sound, and as Aisan said, there is an amalgamation of both the sound and the music. So the objects what we used is basically the crowd sound and the music. Basically, we have played with that throughout the movie, and I think it has come out really well. And wherever you need the impact, you are getting it. And in some places, what we have done is uh, we have taken the dialogues as in his thought process. So all the dialogues we have panned it across the theater, so that will give like it's coming out, it's happening in his head. So so that thought process and everything has come out well with the Dolby Atmos thing. Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to seeing this. As a technical question for you, which have been put here. Uh, you apparently asked for 90% of the sound design to be delivered before you start making the tracks. And this is apparently unlike any other music director. What are your thoughts on this, and why do you do this?
See, the thing is, when you realistically look at any scene, especially like a movie like this, I'm not even talking about the boxing scenes. Forget about that. Like the scenes which are being done in Dongri. You look at the different layers of sound. That is that area. You will have traffic. You will have human noise. You will have bicycles. You may have an azan in the background. You may have this. You may have that. Within all that, now if you put a score which is heavily loaded, when you join both together, when you merge both together, you know that one is going to suffer. Either the background score will have to go way down, or the sound effects are going to have to go down. So the thing is that you try and keep that balance perfect by asking for the sound effects track in the beginning and most of the sound design. Like we wanted to hear what kind of boxing sign, when the gloves make an impact. What is the kind of sound that Pranav is going to use? Because we don't want a drum to impact at the same time as the boxing glove, right? Because this sound is what's really up. And if you have like a drum below it, it's going to suffer, because one will face cancer and you'll get a problem in the theater. So it's very important for us, especially for a film like this, to work with the score. Because there's a lot of stuff, even in the boxing. It's not just the audience, it's footsteps, it's the impacts, it's the sound of the breath, it's the sound of everything. If the guy's nose bleeds, there will be some kind of sound suggestion there. So it was very important for us to hear that full sound design and then create the music around that.
Right. And Meera, so obviously, sound is extremely important to you when it comes to your films, because you work with perfectionists. And still, at what stage of you conceiving a film, getting into script, getting into the other things, do you start thinking and working on the sound? And how important is it?
Toofaan has surprised me uh, than any other film I have made in terms of sound. And that I feel is mostly about the background score and the design. You know, you have songs in one film, you have songs in another film. Some songs are chartbusters, some are not. Some grow with time and all that. Some are evergreen melodies. But I think what really makes a film and a good film is the sound design. And yes, you don't see that on the poster. And you have to go to a theater to experience it. It surprises you. And it is, like Ehsan was saying earlier in the chat, that it should not infringe. It should not try to dominate. At the same time, the picture cannot dominate the sound. At the same time, the performance cannot dominate the sound. At the same time, how you shoot the film, the camera cannot dominate the sound. So everybody has to work together. This is the beauty of this art, that there are various artists who come in and they given their best. The artist takes it to the next level.
Right. Pranav, I have got three scenes. I think one is a fight in the restaurant. It's a fight scene, a very interesting one. The second, I guess, is when he, from the time he gets ready and puts on his gloves and goes into his boxing match. And the one is where he's with the coach, and the coach is saying, "This is your arena, and you got to know your boxing arena well, and you got to own it." If you could take us through sound design for some of these scenes and how you approached it.
If you look at the scene where the coach and Ajju are talking about, when the coach tells him that this is your boxing ring, this is your home and not just a boxing ring. Like, there are 2-3 things which are very critical about getting that scene right. One is that was the first scene I sound designed. And the first draft of design was done pretty much while we were in principal photography. It's a scene that Meghna, who's the picture editor, just cut as a rough cut and sent it across. And trying to get the atmosphere set in that scene was the most critical thing. So whether if it is having a little bit of rain in the surrounds and not really having it much in the center track, so you don't disturb the performances of the coach talking to his student. And we set it up in a way because the performances were so good that we didn't really have to do much, just a little bit of rain and just like Paresh Rawal talking in that scene. And getting the punching on the bag absolutely correct with Farhan's breaths. That was the trick over there, because you really want to feel like this guy is going at the punching bag. So I think the punching bag sounds were recorded by us over here in India, and then, like Ehsan and I were talking about earlier, we had a lot of synthesizers going through for sound effects. So we created all of the whooshes which come just before the punch, so that you feel the force and the speed of this guy hitting the punching bag. I believe you have some layers of those sounds also with you. So when you cut in the real sound of the punching bag and then you add the synthesizer stuff on top of that, you just set up the scene and then you want to get out of the way. And sound design idea in that scene was just to set it up in a way that I can give it over to Ehsan and then he can take you emotionally through the score.
ये सिर्फ बॉक्सिंग का रिंग नहीं है, ये घर है, आज से तेरा घर. अभी सोच, रात के अंधेरे में तेरे घर की खिड़की का कांच टूटता है, तू बाहर आके देखता है तो सामने एक चोर खड़ा है. तुझे अपने घर की एक एक चीज कहाँ है पता है, चोर को नहीं पता. वैसे ये बॉक्सिंग रिंग का एक एक कोना क्या है तुझे मालूम है, सामने वाले बॉक्सर को नहीं मालूम. तो उसकी हिम्मत कैसे हुई तेरे घर में घुसने की? खून पसीना एक करके तूने अपना घर बनाया, संभाल उसे।
In fact, that particular piece, took some time to score because you had to underplay it, yet you had to highlight parts of it. The music had to move because there's a lot of emotion with the dialogue that Paresh Rawal is that she's giving, and so it took us a lot of time because how much do you thin it out? How much do you bring in things like cellos and stuff like that to give it weight? So that was, and plus you have all this beautiful rain. In fact, I commented on it after we saw the film, and I heard the mix. That rain, it surrounds you so beautifully that even that is enough to carry the whole scene through. But of course, there had to be music. So we went for a very slow-paced kind of thing that builds up in terms of orchestration, not necessarily in terms of tempo. Because that is the way true film score works, because you can just keep making things bigger and add big drums and all that, and eventually you'll have lost the movie somewhere. At that point, the sound would have lost the movie. So we, within the orchestration, the way the strings move, the way the tempo, increases, we picked up the whole scene together, and finally it breaks out of the scene and then it goes ahead. So that was a bit of a tough scene. In fact, we came back to that a few times.
Yeah, and the people who run the last laps, there's always a lot of expectation from them, and also a lot of pressure. Pranab, the second scene, the restaurant fight scene, where a bottle is smashed on Farhan's head, and he gets really angry, and he starts punching that person. It almost felt like a very brutal, Muay Thai match, a pure Muay Thai match, and you could actually feel the punches. Can you also take us through this one?
Yeah, so the idea with the restaurant scene was like before I go into just the sound effects, the idea emotionally was to say that this guy has got uncontrolled energy. And it just felt like it's a bomb which is going to explode anytime in your face. It's untapped, unharnessed energy. So, I mean, that moment when the glass bottle is like hit on his head, he loses it and he starts hitting him. So the trick over there was like one, we recorded the punches ourselves. So we took some meat and we slapped it ourselves and we got the skin on skin impact from there. And again, I was using a Moog subsequent 37 synthesizer. So where you could literally like sweep the frequencies in and out and open the filter to add certain whooshes on top, which would be pitched to his voice. And his vocal performance again over there is straight from set. It's not being dubbed. So you're getting Farhan's performance from the set, and you're just basically adding two layers. One is the punch sound, and the other one is the synthesizer, which keeps getting angrier and angrier and aggressive till the time he really like lays him out. So just to give it a lot of explosiveness.
That was a full of energy was there in that sequence. And what in mixed perspective, like there was only sound design and the breaths. So the fights, the punches and the breaths. So the challenge was the breaths were too reverberant. I mean, since it was from the location, I had to actually match the punch sounds like equal reverberant, and otherwise it should stand out. It will stand out from the reactions from the breaths. So my first challenge was that.
The question I want to ask you is, of course, you'd have loved to see this to be a theatrical release, but that did not happen. My question is around the smartphones and the tabs and the computers of today. And once you wear a good headphone, you really do not need the home theaters of yesterday. You know, all that I spent on a good home theater sometimes seems useless because you're watching it on a good headphone and you can get the same effects. So is that the magic with today's technology like Dolby Atmos?
We're going to miss the theater experience, but the film experience will always be there, and it will be there even if you're watching it on mobile phones with headphones. You know, or you'll get all the experience, according to me.
Mr. Mehra, again, you're kind of the same question for you. You'd have loved the movie to be released in a theater. Do you think with the pandemic that there is an understanding now that while creating a film, you will also look at the film being watched on a device as small as a smartphone?
I think it's when a story is told well, it really does not matter how you're consuming it. That is, you have to be ahead of the technology in how you tell the story. In today's time, there are so many other platforms for showcasing your work. You can keep saying, theatrical experience versus a small screen versus now a screen on your palm. That would not be the way I would look at things. I feel like we are so much more fortunate today that our work is reaching so many more eyeballs. So Toofaan, just to let you know, simultaneously will release in 197 countries, in 214 or 240 territories, which was impossible for a Hindi film earlier. All you got was max, if it was a huge film, some 500 screens. Now you're going to reach 86 million households. And you'll be part of, there can be a discussion on the matter that any which way it would have gone. But there is something about when you experience things for the first time. Earlier, when it used to move to the smaller screen, it was already being tasted. It had already been experienced. But now, the freshness of the experience all across the world.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And I'm sure film lovers across the country will embrace Toofaan and love it. All the best to you and your team. Thank you all for your time today. For the next level entertainment experience, I would request you all to subscribe to Amazon Prime Video and watch Toofaan in Dolby Atmos.
ये अज्जू भाई, ये अजीज अली बॉक्सर. क्या बनना है?
ये सिर्फ बॉक्सिंग का रिंग नहीं है, ये घर है. आज से तेरा घर. खून पसीना एक करके तूने अपना घर बनाया, संभाल उसे. तोड़ उनका.
बताया आज नाना सर अपने को फाइट के बाद क्या बोले? तूफान.
अभी तू जैसे मानता है वहाँ माथा टेक के.
अलग है मतलब
अच्छी बहुत अच्छी.
तूफान ने अपने फैंस का दिल तोड़ दिया. जिस मंदिर की आप पूजा करते हैं, आपने उसके साथ विश्वासघात किया.
साला मार
गहरे अंधेरे सुनी राहें खामोशियों.
मेरे को हरामी बोले, मेरे को धोखेबाज बोले.
अजीज अली पर 5 साल का बैन लगाया गया है.
तो ऐसा क्या मांग लिया तुमसे कि तुमने ये सब कदम उठाया?
जिस गेम ने तेरे को इज्जत दिया, उसका तूने मिसयूज किया.
बॉक्सिंग तुम्हारी लाइफ है अजीज.
अरे सब टूट गया है.
बस तो खड़ी है ये
जो अपने आप से दुनिया से भाग रहा है, या ये अजीज अली तूफान जो फिर से उठेगा?